It's just me and Mr. Baloo. Like it used to be, huh? We've got to take a break, a rest, a moment in time to reflect, to pet a dog, and check in on ourselves too. In the gym, we trained for intensity, to the limits, to failure, to that breaking point. At some point in time, both the gym and life will force us to take a rest day, and it won't be convenient. Well, good morning. Good to see you. Welcome back. Another good morning here. It is warm and humid. Very warm, very humid. Already 80 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be a doozy of a day, I have a feeling, with regards to the temperature, but that's okay because it's going to start with a doozy of a workout as well. We're going to do a leg day. Got a leg day ahead of us, and I am pumped. I am excited. We got some RDLs that we're going to be doing. We've got some belt squats, my favorite. I love these frickin' belt squats. They are so good to us. Still looking for ways that we can further increase the load on our cable setup here for these belt squats. But for at least today, we're gonna load it all the way up to 300 pounds again. Go a little bit overboard on that as well. You know, I feel pretty safe and comfortable going up to about 330 at least on those. 10% margin there should still be safe and within the realm of safety for these, and we'll see how we do on those. I plan to slow those down as much as we possibly can to really get as much out of that weight, that limit on the weight that we have at the moment, and push those belt squats to their absolute maximum. Outside of that, same thing we did on this last workout. We're going to be doing our reverse lunges, again paying attention to not use that back leg too much. We want to make sure that the front leg, the leg that we're actually doing the leg with, is doing as much of the pushing as possible, and that rear leg is really only being used for stability. That's what we want that rear leg to be used for, is just keeping us stable, upright, and from falling over. And then we've got our accessory movement. Hyperextensions, calf raises, hip adductions. We're gonna get all of that stuff in there today, but the belt squats are certainly gonna be using it and involving our hamstrings and our glutes too, as we're working through that stuff. So all of these exercises are gonna be using muscle groups interchangeably. It's not just gonna be isolating really anything. Calf raise would be the only thing I can think of that would really only be using a single muscle. I guess our hip adductions too. We're really not going too far beyond that. So let's get after today's workout. Let's see what it has in store for us. I am pumped. I am ready to get warmed up, and we're gonna get after it. I'll see you over there. Yep. good music going here. Feeling it for this first set here, 300. Want to know what I'm listening to? Give that code a scan there. That's my Spotify workout playlist. All EDM music, pretty high intensity stuff, but guaranteed to keep you moving and grooving. Let me know what you think. Let's do this first set here, 300. Yeah. Okay. Man, I don't think we need to up that weight at all. That's perfect. When you slow it down a little bit like that. Woo. What a humbling experience squats are every time, no matter what variation they are. Barbell squats, lever squats, pendulum squats, belt squats, hack squats. We'll even throw in leg press in there. For me, I think it's just a really good reminder of what's important. And what I mean by that is we put so much emphasis, so much pressure on ourselves to do everything perfectly, to maximize our time, to minimize distractions, downtime. But we get to these leg movements, these big movements, right? We're using some of the largest muscles on our body, and our body is using probably more resources because of that than it does in any other lift to lift that weight. And we finish it, and we are reminded of the rest we have to take, of the breaks. You gotta take 3 minutes in between, 3 to 5 minutes. You can't just rush from one set to the next. It's not possible, is it? It's just not possible. We've got to take a breather, or we're not going to be able to perform. We've got to take a break, a rest, a moment in time to reflect, to pet a dog, to love each other, to care about each other, to check in. And check in on ourselves too, because if we just rush right into it, we're going to lead to injury. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Huh? What? Your brother's not here and now you become needy? Huh? There he is. Got some leg movements to do. Okay. I know I'm sweaty. Okay, big boy. All right, that's enough rest though. I couldn't resist. I had to up that weight, 10 pounds. Let's do 310 here. Let's try to take it nice and slow, just like that first set. Come on. Yeah, come on. Good. Whew, that was a nuts set. That was crazy. That burn was, man, we were getting stuck, I think you saw, kind of in that midpoint there, which was an interesting place to get stuck. I feel like I haven't been stuck in that spot in a really long time. I'm usually stuck more towards the bottom or towards the top, but no, we were stuck, I think, and I'd have to look again on the footage, but I think it was right in the middle there. You know, of all the spots to get stuck in, it's not the worst, because that tells me that I'm not really lacking majorly. I'm getting stuck in the middle point where muscle balances may shift between that lower and upper. At the lower portion of that movement, we're going to be using almost all quads. It's going to be almost all quads. But towards the top, that's where we're going to transition into more of our glutes, our hips, abductors to finish out that rep and finish that squat movement. So getting stuck in that mid-range there, I would wager that it's still going to be my quads that are lagging behind, so to speak. But again, because it's in the middle, we're not really grinding out of the very bottom. I believe it was in that middle spot. I think everything's in a really good spot there. But that just means that the work we're doing on our quads and all the volume we're putting into it is absolutely worth it. At the top, we didn't have a problem at all. Moving past that with our glutes, our hamstrings, our hips, any of that stuff. Yeah. Whew. Oh my God. Let's do some lunges, huh? Oh. You may be wondering where Moko is. Where's the other dog? Moko is at some dog shows. He's a show dog, and he is hopefully securing his championship this upcoming weekend here. He'll be gone for another week, maybe 2. He'll be back soon, and in the meantime, it's just me and Mr. Baloo. Like it used to be, huh? Oh, you got your ball? You got your ball? Huh? That one doesn't squeak, does it? He doesn't squeak. We like the squeaker ones. We're gonna have to get a P.O. box so people can send you tennis balls that squeak, aren't we? Just for tennis balls. That won't be suspicious. All right, set number 2. Second set. Second set, last set here. You don't need a ton of weight for these. These are only 22 and a half right now. Oh. Oh. Wow. Oh. Wow. Wow. Whew. All right, everybody. Got a couple more sets here. Got 2 more sets on this, and then I got to do my cable hip adductions over there. And I'm going to do that while I clean up a little bit. So this is where I bid you farewell. Thanks for showing up today. Happiness is not a matter of intensity, but balance, order, rhythm, and harmony. It was said by a monk named Thomas Merton, and I found that quote the other day and found it so applicable. In the gym, we train for intensity. We train to push ourselves to the limits, to failure, to that breaking point. But in life, we can attempt to do the same thing, and it will consume us day after day after day after day. And like you, I do struggle with taking rest days in the gym, but at some point in time, both the gym and life will force us to take a rest day, and it won't be convenient. In the gym, perhaps that manifests as sickness, and we're not able to get out here and work out at all, and that thus impacts our day-to-day life, our work, our relationships, our overall balance in life. But somehow we still have to push through our day-to-day responsibilities. We can take time off from the gym. This is our hobby, and this may be what brings us health and happiness, but at the end of the day, as high of a need as it might be to feel fulfilled, centered, and balanced, it will be something that we could strip away should we need to do that. But day-to-day life will not. Eating, drinking, sleeping, actual work, our relationships, our family, those things have to be tended to no matter what. Remember that we've got to balance all of these things, harmonize all of it. Again, we come back to this idea that what happens in the gym can be reflected so perfectly in our day-to-day life. We have to balance all of these things. We can't just do 100 sets of squats every single day or our body will shut down. We've got to balance it, harmonize it, put some order around it so that we can grow all of these muscles synchronously with each other. Otherwise, we're going to look very unbalanced, and we'll probably develop deficiencies that will ultimately lead to us getting hurt. Because if we're not training our lower back and our glutes and even our upper body, we will inevitably hurt ourselves if all we're doing ever is squatting. We will. And so if we put all of our eggs in one basket, if we focus only on work, well, think about what's going to suffer. Think about what's going to break. Think about what's ultimately going to pay the price. So let's remember those things. Let's try to be cognizant of it. Let's try to be aware of it. We can't be perfect all the time, so let's not put that pressure on ourselves either. But ask yourself every day, am I giving everything a fair shake? Am I giving everything as close as possible
to an equal balance. It's not going to be the same day to day. Just like our weight, just like the food we eat, just like our training, it's going to fluctuate day to day, week to week, even month to month. But over time, are we averaging it out? Does that graph look a little bit longer in its wavelengths with slightly longer times between those peaks? Or is it constantly flipping up and down like this? Because the latter is certainly going to be chaotic too. I would rather it be chaotic than completely ignoring everything and just having these long periods of time and plateaus on these other items. That's not going to lead to anything fulfilling or anything sustainable. Just stuff to think about. I'm going to keep thinking about that while I do my calf races here. I hope you guys have a good day ahead of you. I hope you accomplish something great. I'll see you next time. Be well.